There's a lot of people that are afraid that the job as a personal trainer, for example, is going to be erased by an AI. Happy Friday, everybody. It's a little windy and gloomy and it looks like rain. I actually hope it rains. It's definitely something I miss is the rain. I'm originally from BC, so rain was an everyday or a fairly frequent occurrence, and it's something that I miss a lot. More than anything else, it's the smell, and always sleep better when it does rain or storm, whichever. Anyway, so we are in the tail end of my 4th week of prep, and as you all well know by now, I've decided to document everything I can, the highs, the lows, going through it all. And this week has definitely had a lot of highs and lows. And, bit of a segue, but because of the introduction of AI and the pros and cons of that, there's a lot of people that are afraid that the job as a personal trainer, for example, is going to be erased by an AI. And I'll be the first one to tell you that as a personal trainer, I use AI all the time. Looking up different ideas, looking up ways to explain things to clients, looking for ways to maybe get a better understanding of something for myself. It is a great tool when used properly. And I am of the opinion that it'll never and should never replace a personal trainer. Now, I feel like AI can be a help to those who can't afford a personal trainer because, let's be honest, a personal trainer is a luxury thing. It's not necessarily a basic need or a basic function. Exercise is, but that doesn't mean you need a trainer. And a lot of people that are hurting for money can barely afford a membership, if they can even afford that in a gym, let alone a personal trainer. So having the benefits of AI, when most people, better or for worse, have access to AI, can at least find some general direction as to what they can and cannot do, or what they shouldn't do, or just some general guidance as to how to move their body when they don't know how to do it themselves. And a personal trainer just might be without, or may not be within their purview. Now, why is this connected to my bodybuilding thing? Because I have a coach. I'm a trainer, I'm a coach, but I have a coach. And I'm going to tell you right now that if it wasn't for my coach and my team being my husband, if it wasn't for the collaboration and combination of my husband and my coach, who I'm going to flat out, you know what? It's Kate. I love her. She has become a friend. She's become a confidant. She's become someone that I can rely on, and not just for bodybuilding coaching and for endless questions, who is not only helping me grow as a person, but growing as a personal trainer and more, helping me become a better version of myself. I can tell you, I would be so far down the rabbit hole. It's insane. And I'm going to tell you this too, that so far the bodybuilding thing, or rather the prep, has been really easy. You see all these videos with scare tactics and how, it was draining, and all these negative experiences, especially in their first prep. Now, everyone's going to experience it somewhat differently. Everyone's going to have a different beginning, middle, and end. Everyone has a different physique. It's no different than weight loss. Everyone's going to approach it differently, because they have to approach it differently. And every time you try to go into a deficit, your body's going to react and do something different every single time, because your body changes every single time. So what worked before won't necessarily work the second round. You may have to make some tweaks, etc. So if it wasn't for my coach keeping my head on straight, and it has nothing to do with the rules of prep so much as it is going into your head. Now, a lot of us, when we're trying to lose weight or change your shape, we get so fixated on the smaller details that we fail to see the bigger picture at times. For example, the scale. At the end of the day, so many of our moods, and mine included, are tied to that scale. If it's up, if it's down. If it's up, we're in a lousy mood. If we're down, we're in a better mood. And there isn't a whole lot of understanding why you can be hitting every single one of your goals, every single one of your macros. You could be hitting all your steps, doing all your training, lifting to the full extent of your intensity, hitting your macros dead on, eating the exact same foods every single day, and the scale just decides we're going to go in the up direction. Now, there are a lot of things that could be playing in the background that you don't see. For females especially, where are you on your cycle? That has a huge impact on it. It can play on your mood and all those fun little chemical things that we deal with on a regular basis. What's going on in your life? Is there a lot of stress? Is there no stress? Did you go from high stress to low stress and vice versa? How is your sleep? Are you getting enough sleep? There's a lot of us out there that take sleep for granted because everyone thinks that they have the same 24 hours in a day. And I'll be the first one to tell you we do. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. However, those 24 hours in a day are going to look different from person to person. So that all plays a role in how things are going to be, how your body's going to react. And it doesn't matter if it's prep, deficit, building muscle, doesn't matter what it is. It's all going to have some sort of impact. And sometimes your body just decides that, no, we're going to hold on to that just a little bit longer and drive you absolutely insane. And funny enough, the weather can have an impact on it as well. Did it go from really, really cold to really, really warm all of a sudden? Body fluctuations can be dictated by that as well. So if it wasn't for my coach and my husband telling me that they can see the shape changing, and more specifically my husband, because he can feel the shape. Kate can see it in my photos and she can see it in person. And some of the people I go to the gym, they know what I'm doing and they can see it as well. But we get so stuck in our head that we look in the mirror and can't see the change. Sometimes you can feel it, sometimes you can't, and sometimes it's tied to your mood as well. But at the end of the day, AI can't do that. AI cannot assess your mood and tell you that everything's going to be okay. And honest to God, if we ever get to the point where AI can do that, I quit. Because that's next in line to the Furby that asks you to feed it. We're very close to a Chucky concept, and I is a no-go for that. Been there, done that, seen that. That's no. But a really good coach will not be replaced by AI, because there's compassion and understanding and a whole other level of things that go with that will never be replaced as far as I'm concerned. And we as people all go through the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's me or the client I'm working with who is also trying to lose weight. And she also gets hung up on the scale. I have a really easy time comforting and being there for someone else, but can't always do that for myself, which is why my coach is incredibly valuable and will always be valuable. And again, if it wasn't for my team supporting me and reminding me that the changes are happening and they can see it, I would be probably insane and I'd want to give up. And because for me, I'm doing this to see and experience the change. I want to see and experience this whole thing as a sport, whatever you want to classify it as. This is something I want to experience because I firmly believe that this experience will allow me to become a better trainer and to have a better understanding of what the body can go through and what you're capable of. So that is just my take on it. And this week has been a lot of highs and lows. My mood has been all over the place. The first part of the week, my mood was just very up and down, more down than up, and again tied to the scale because the scale has a mind of its own. And we've come to, the end of the week now, and I am in a little bit of a better mind frame and feeling a little better about myself, but I'm still not perfect. I'm still feeling kind of out of it, and that just is what it is. So the rules for prep that I'm following have not really changed. I started out with a certain set of macros. I have a set for training days. I have a set for non-training days. So 2 days a week I eat differently than the other 5. And only it's a subtle change. It's not a huge change. But on average, I have an average between the two. So I have lost within the 4 weeks, I have lost about 8 pounds within eating about 2,000 calories as an average. and I am hitting a good macro goal in terms of proteins and fats and carbs. And that has all been a learning process as well, looking for and making sure that I have enough straight carb sources, straight protein sources, and straight fat sources so I can fill in those gaps as I create my meal plan. And sometimes it's the same every day, and sometimes it's not. I'm also finding my mood is now tied to food as well, that I look forward to eating certain things in a day, and I don't like having to swap them out for one reason or another. It might be the odd time where I may fit in a gluten-free, dairy-free little cupcake to celebrate a birthday or something, but right now it's not something I really want to do. I would rather have the fruit that I'd have to swap that out for. And that's just my personal preference. Otherwise, we started prep doing 5 days worth of training, a upper, lower, push, pull, and leg routine. I have 2 different routines. I alternate them between or every other week. That way it keeps my body guessing. I have to do fasted cardio 3 times a week. At least that was in the beginning. As of this week, I have upped it to 4. I've also dramatically changed my strategy. In the beginning of all this, my gym tracks how many times people come into the gym and work out, or more specifically, how many times they scan. They track how many times you scan. And I was absolutely determined to be on the top of that all the time. In fact, I've been on the top for well over a year now. There's only 1 month that I wasn't, and that's only because the rules changed with me being a cleaner and a trainer in there. I had to start tracking my workout times versus the other 2, and I had to submit it differently, and they didn't tell me that in time. So there was 1 month while my numbers were still skyrocketed over everybody else, wasn't on the board. But I have been leading that board for, I want to say, 1.5 years, probably approaching on 2. And in order to do that, I started breaking up my routine. So I would work out a little bit after work, and then I would go back later and do some more steps or cardio, or I would actually split my lifting in half. I would do half of it in the morning and half of it later in the afternoon. Now I have changed that, and while, yeah, I'd still like to be on the leaderboard, but honestly, my current goal right now has kind of gone beyond that point. What does that mean? That means that I'm out to try and get in as many steps as humanly possible within a day, while still trying to achieve and accomplish other things in my day. So more often than not, at least this week, I work and then I do all of my stuff that I need to do, preferably in the morning, and I try and get all of my steps in specifically well in before 12, 1 o'clock-ish. At least, again, when possible. There are some days where I can't do that for one reason or another, and usually it's because I'd have to sacrifice sleep to do it, and I won't do that too often unless I absolutely have to. Sleep, for me, is 100% essential, and not just because of prep, but because of my mind state. I can go a couple of days getting up early and doing what I have to do, but if I do that getting up too early and not getting enough sleep, my mind goes very, very foggy, and I just don't function the best way that I could. So sleep for me is absolutely essential. But the nice way of doing my routine that way right now is by getting in 10,000 steps, which is the minimum goal for me daily, or getting that in earlier or as early as possible in the day. It means that I have the ability to hit higher than that. And I have definitely done that. I've also not only changed, like I said before, we went from 3 times a week for fasted cardio. Now we're doing it 4. This was the first week we did that. And last week, we also made a goal that I was going to try and get those fasted cardio minutes within 30 minutes as a maximum. And I have also swapped it from doing an incline walk to walking the stairs. And I can tell you right now, hitting that cardio goal is really easy doing it that way. Although I am an absolute puddle by the time I'm done, which is kind of the idea. So that is really all that we've changed. We haven't changed any of my macros yet. We have gradually increased the intensity of my workout, but that's about it. So far, even from what my coaches said, this prep has been relatively boring. We haven't had to mess with really anything because my body has been responding well. So I don't know how things are going to go forward. I do know it was mentioned that we're doing a mini recomp in the beginning of prep. How long we're going to do that for, I don't know. However, seeing how the scale has been this last week, I have a feeling that that might be coming to a close here pretty quick, because I think my body may have adapted and we may have to make some changes. But in terms of that, that is not for me to decide. That is for her to figure out and decide how we want to proceed with this. So, as you can see, I've been what looks like walking around in circles because I have other commitments I have to do and monitor when it comes to my kids this morning. So because of that, I don't have the ability to get to the gym and do my steps or do anything else that I would like to do. So that means that I'm walking around my house and getting in my steps that way. I have a small little circuit that I do, and I'm quickly approaching the halfway mark of the 10,000 step mark. So I'm going to keep working on that. And then get my kids ready to go to head into Calgary here shortly. So I will be back soon with another update on prep and how things are progressing. Cheers.